Hi everyone, Adrian Priddle here from Results Catalyst. On our last video we talked about managing virtual teams and three key pillars of trust, communication and support within managing that team. We're going to spend a little bit more time now over the next few videos on trust. And what I want to look at in trust is how you build it, how a leader or a manager keeps it going, and then also how does it feel authentic to the team. So, the way we're going to do that, we're going to use two different approaches. Firstly, I'm going to use my friend Anne Jones to talk to you about her tips and her experience based on her career working in global projects across different countries. She's got some really good ideas that are practical and helpful to today's manager. Then secondly, I want to also offer you some of the latest thinking and ideas that are around on trust models. And so I want to start with one of those now. That's by a guy called Charles Green, who's the author of Trust-Based Selling, this book here. He was also involved as co-author on Trusted Business Advisor. Now, Charles came up with an equation, the trust equation, which looks at three things that really help trust: credibility, reliability, and intimacy. Credibility being our qualifications, our right to speak on a topic, how we're known in the marketplace, those sort of things. Reliability being how well we deliver on what we say we're going to do, whether or not we deliver on the small things as well as the big things, can I depend on you, that sort of thing. And then finally, intimacy being how well do I know you? Do I adapt the way we do business? Do I understand the way you feel about business? Those sort of things. And then this is divided by self-orientation. So the level of self-interest that we display and whether or not we are showing interest in the other party and balancing that with our own, or even showing more interest in them. Where that is too much focus to us, it can destroy trust. So the trust equation is a really useful way of looking at things. And if you catch up with Charles on his podcast or on his LinkedIn page, you'll be able to get more on that. We'll put some links below after this video. First of all, now then, let's catch up with Anne and see what sort of thoughts she has about building trust in a team. So great to be here today with my friend Anne Jones and colleague at Results Catalyst. Really keen to hear some of your thoughts, Anne, about how you build trust within virtual teams, particularly given your experiences of being part of a team that's in across geographies, being part of a team that's not able to be in the same room, those sort of things, and leading and managing those teams too. So, what are the things you think are really important?
Thanks for asking me, Aid. It's really great to see you as well. For me, I think the key thing I've found to be useful is around preparation. The more you bounce a bouncy ball before the ball takes off, the further the ball will fly. And I think the same thing applies to virtual teams. I think when we have ground rules, I hate them, but they work. When we have ground rules, when we have things that we do in advance, when we really get to know who we've got in our team, we spend time socially interacting with them, finding out what drinks they like to be drinking when you're having a virtual meeting, finding out what view they look at when they're looking out of their window, be that an office or in the situation that we're in at the moment at home. All of those things really pay dividends when further down the line, you're pushing deadlines, you're needing to figure out the constraints that people are working to, you're trying to get everybody moving in the same direction. I really don't think there's a substitute for the amount of time that you put in at the start of that relationship.
We often think of preparation in a quite mundane sort of not particularly exciting way, don't we? So can you give me some examples of when you talk about preparing to lead a virtual team? You mentioned there about pictures of coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's fundamental that people understand who they're working with, what makes those people tick, how do we motivate them, how do they respond really well. And particularly when we're doing that virtually, we miss out on a lot of the stuff that happens day to day in the office. And so what we try to do when we're preparing virtual teams is recreate some of those interactions, some of that banter, some of that team language that we find that we adopt without really realizing in a setting where we spend time with each other daily.
You've been doing a bit of this, I've noticed, because I keep up with you on LinkedIn. I've noticed you doing a bit of this in your hashtag daily question
Yeah.
for the moment. They're sharing some of your experience there. Can I ask you which ones of those have, kind of really lit something and maybe got people talking?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Some of the ones that have got the most interactions and that people have messaged me offline about have been the ones that are probably the most social. So things like who would you choose to enter lockdown with was a noticeable one. There was one that was about a chocolate quiz, some pictures of chocolate bars that were a team task that people could go off and do with their teams online. Things where people could just let their hair down and talk about stuff that bonded them, and created a bit of team feel, seem to be the ones that are hitting home more than the work ones, actually, which has been quite a surprise to me.
So back to your thing about social glue, social combination, understanding each other.
Paying attention to the binds that tie us. It's really, really important. Understanding who you've got, what you're trying to do together, why you're all there is really important and has to be paid attention to at the preparation stage as well. But I think sometimes we're in really results focused industries, most of the people I work with, and sometimes we get so honed in on those results that sometimes we forget that actually the stuff that propels us in that direction are the social ties, the team spirit, and the ability to motivate, to support, to give feedback, to communicate, all the things that you're talking about in your model.
So that was interesting. That was good to get her perspective, good to get her ideas around that. I think one word comes out more than any other, which is preparation. And for me, that felt like a lot of investing into the relationships, the team members, putting foundations in, helping to understand them, to know how we're going to work together. And I suppose something came kind of clear to me through that chat was that you have to do that sort of stuff, like in any project, to invest so that when you get to the difficult times, you're able as a team to face those, to go forward and take them together because you trust each other. If the investment isn't there, it's very hard to do that going forward. So many thanks to Anne for those tips, and we'll come back to her on the later videos. As I said earlier, there's some links for Charles Green and the Trust-Based Selling book and his podcast below this video. Hope you found something helpful in there, and we'll look forward to talking to you on the next one about leading and managing a team in a way that builds trust.